Warmly welcome all the students of BL5 for the series of webinars targeting your next examination. As you're already aware, we have done about 12 webinars for the previous examinations. All those sessions, all those webinars, all those discussions are applicable for your examination as well. So therefore, I request every one of you to go and watch them at CS Sri Lanka LMS or CS Sri Lanka YouTube channel to enhance your knowledge and get ready for the examination. So the series of these webinars will be conducted mainly to cover up the certain areas which we have not discussed during the sessions, and also to discuss questions in some of the selective areas. All right. Few important messages to be passed at the beginning. The number one, this series of webinars will be conducted in English language, but very basic English will be used to ensure that you understand the concept properly. And also, where appropriate, I will be giving the explanation in Sinhala as well. Therefore, all the students who are attending the examination in Sinhala medium as well as Tamil medium can watch these webinars. The second thing, please ensure that all the study materials are in your hand. The number one, Study Pack Volume 1, Volume 2, the pilot paper, the mock examination paper, as well as the revision kit. And also keep a notebook to note down important concepts or important areas that I highlight throughout the session. Third thing, please ensure that when you start to watch the webinar, please continue and finish the watching the video. Not only that, go to the study text and study the theoretical aspect, and go to the revision kit, go to the pilot paper, go to the mock examination paper, and practice all the questions and complete the relevant section. Right. So today our session is the chapter 11, Code of Ethics, one of the interesting and fantastic session. It's a beautiful discussion. So before starting the session, so I thought of taking you all through for 5 minutes into the syllabus introduction and the weightage of the syllabus, and to tell you how you should study in a systematic approach given the limited time for the examination. If you see your syllabus, basically, as I explained during the first webinar of the previous examination, I hope that you might have already watched that. There are 5 areas in your syllabus: Introduction to Corporate Governance, Risk and Control, Business Processes and Internal Controls, Digitalization and Business Process, Ethics and Values and Fundamentals of Audit and Assurance. So that weightage goes on 10, 25, 10, 15 and 40. So this is purely a auditing subject, supported with some other supportive areas. But this is mainly tested into auditing principles that you have to practice one day as a practitioner, practice in chartered accountant, or that you will have to use as a chartered accountant in business one day when you become a CFO or a CEO or the accountant or the finance manager or any other designation in mercantile sector. When you become such a professional, you have to apply those principles that we learn in this subject in achieving the objectives of the relevant job. Right. So basically in the syllabus, as you are aware, there are 15 chapters under this 5 category. There are 15 chapters. I hope that you are well aware, but my purpose is not to explain on these 15 areas, but to tell you, given the limited time for your examination, so your study must be divided into 2. The syllabus can be divided into 2, right? How that division can be made. So look at here. Basically, I believe this. The syllabus has a 2 dimension. 2 main areas. One is co-auditing area. Right? Other one is supportive areas, other areas. So what is meant by co-auditing area and other areas? So as we are aware, so this particular subject called Audit, Business Processes and Digitalization. So auditing means, you may be already aware, or you can watch the relevant webinars what we have done. The auditing means an external party, external chartered accountant comes and check the finance statement prepared by the management. What is meant by auditing in a simple term? This we have already discussed. Management of a company, prepare the finance statement and give in to the shareholders, management of a company, prepare the finance statement and give in to the shareholders, but the shareholders do not trust the management. Therefore, shareholder goes and appoint a third party person called chartered accountant. Look here, chartered accountant. My management has prepared the finance statement, but I don't trust them. Can you come and check the finance statement prepared by them and give me a report, please? කළමනාකරණය විසින් පිළිල කරන ද මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන කට්ටලය පිළිබඳ මට කිසිදු විශ්වාසයක් නැහැ. ඒක නිසා මේ මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන කට්ටලය පරීක්ෂා කරලා මට වාර්තාවක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා shareholdersලා කියනවා chartered accountant. Then this particular chartered accountant has to come and check the finance statement prepared by the management. So this process, how he should do this one is called auditing, right? We call auditing. So he cannot do as he wished. Now I'm a partner of an audit firm, so I cannot do the audit according to my wish. KPMG cannot do the audit according to KPMG wish. PwC cannot do the audit according to the PwC wish. We all have to follow one guideline that is called Sri Lanka Auditing Standards, Sri Lanka Auditing Standards, SLAUS. Starting from 200 to 810, 37 auditing standards are there. This 37 auditing standard tells you how an audit to be conducted or how an audit to be carried out by a practicing chartered accountant, audit firm partner, including their engagement team. So how practically that audit is conducted is listed out in the co-auditing areas in your syllabus. So this is a flow. This is a flow from the beginning to end. Like, let's say you are running a bakery. In a bakery, if you are making one item called bread, let's say, so preparation or making a bread has a process: mixing, processing, getting outcome. Likewise, there is a process. So similarly, this particular chartered accountant's role, that is called co-auditing, also has a process. From the beginning to end, it is a process. So this process has been documented in your study text, in your syllabus, chapter 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All those areas it is a one flow. When you start to study, so you have to consider this as a one flow and continue and finish it off. So in terms of these areas, we have done about 8 webinars in the previous examination. So I request all of you to watch all those 8 webinars. So it talks about the starting from the assurance engagement and ending with the audit reporting. This is a one flow. So you have to learn step by step. You cannot suddenly come to the audit report and learn. So you have to go by the step by step in learning this one. And in your syllabus, in your examination, there would be, even though that is a MCQ question, 50 MCQ question, all those are small case scenarios. It is not that directly the theory is being tested. Yeah, there are some direct theory question, but majority of the questions are not direct theory questions. All those are small cases. The knowledge that you learn through these processes are being applied into a small practical scenarios, right? So this is where I categorize your syllabus. Section D and section E is a one flow. I call it's a one flow. This is a flow. So you have to learn step by step, the chapter by chapter. Not only remember in theory, you need to understand the logic of this. Why engagement letter is issued, why a risk assessment is made, why auditor is deciding a risk response like this, how an audit report is decided, why this type of report has to come, why audit report should be qualified, right? All those are one bucket or one flow. This all one flow is given under this particular 6 chapters. So that is why I am telling. So if when you are studying of given limited time, so you have to study in all these 6 areas together, step by step. So I request again, if you have not studied properly, so we have about 8 webinars that we have conducted for this area in thoroughly. For the previous examination, go to CA Sri Lanka LMS or the YouTube channel webinars so that you can watch these. The second part of the syllabus that I can see is the other areas. Now, basically one day when you get your membership of chartered accountant, we call such a prestige name, associate member of the Chartered Institute, associate chartered accountant. Either you can be a chartered accountant in business, chartered accountant in practice. What is that? The chartered accountant, either you can be a mercantile chartered accountant like CFO, finance manager, deputy finance manager, accountant, CEO, finance director. You are working as an employee of the business organization. It is a chartered accountant in business. Either you can become a chartered accountant in practice like me. Partners, you can start your own audit firm, or you can join a bigger audit firm and become a partner. Chartered accountant in practice. So we do a practicing. We provide the auditing and related services. So in our BL5 subject, mainly focus on the chartered accountant in practice. But the concept that you learn this chartered accountant in practice job role are going to be important when you become even chartered accountant in business. That is why this is located in your business level 2, the level of curriculum, in your CA curriculum. So therefore, now under this co-auditing area, these 6 chapters, we mainly discuss about his role, this particular chartered accountant's role, we discuss there, right? Then, in addition to this particular chartered accountant, when he conduct the audit of finance statement, according to the Sri Lanka auditing standards, there are some supportive areas, there are some supportive knowledge that he needs to have, there are some areas he should aware, we call supportive areas, right? This knowledge is that SLIUS is a direct knowledge, but not only direct knowledge, there are some indirect, I call indirect. There are indirect areas that you should aware, that are called other areas. So therefore, so these areas you are not required to learn by step. These are all isolated areas you can study separately. So you can note down this one if required. So this chapter 1 and 2, corporate governance and internal control, separately you can study. You don't have to link on that. And this 6th chapter, this is a practical application of internal control, practical application of internal control. So this is, in this area, we talk about the how a business organization implements internal control in a practical aspect. How sales management has been done, how procurement cycle, payroll management, cash management, property plant and equipment management, inventory management, how bank reconciliation is prepared, how MRN, GRN, GDN, how those are being raised, right? How PO is raised. All what we learned in your A-level knowledge with regard to the best practices of the organization are being discussed in a different angle in this particular section. So there's a very good webinar for this also. So you can go and watch that also, because this is another isolated area which you can study, and this is not difficult. Then chapter 9 and 10, effectiveness of internal control and digitalization, how technology has impacted to the business organization, how technology is being used by the audit firm, how technology has changed everything, the environment which is surrounding a chartered accountant. So that is a very interesting and fantastic session. So that also chapter number 9, and chapter number 10 is our today's discussion, that is ethics. Being a chartered accountant, you are controlled within a framework. You have to have a ethical practices, which is our session today, right? But what is my summary? Now, given the limited number of days for your examination, remember the co-auditing areas has to be studied on a step-by-step basis. Other areas you can isolately decide it, what areas to be looked at according to your priority. So those can be looked into. But remember, this part B is a very simple area, because you might have already learned all those concepts in your A-levels. So therefore, this is nothing to learn too much new. So please watch the relevant webinar that I have done for the previous examination. Watch and try to get approach from the step that I have given. So this is going to be an easy area. Even you can think and write at the examination if you have a real thinking pattern, if you have developed a thinking pattern. And in terms of digitalization is interesting. That again, the small chapter in your study text you can study, and quickly you can study and practice the question. Easily you can score. Ethics, anyway, we are going to discuss today. End of the today, you will realize that ethics is no longer difficult. Any of the questions that are coming in the examination, you will be answering and you can answer. Right? So this is the analysis of the syllabus for your examination perspective. And these are the webinars available in the LMS. So you can go and watch Introduction to Assurance Engagement, Auditing, Risk Assessment, Audit Evidence, Part A, B, Finalization, up to webinar number 9, right? From 1 to 9, all those 9s are representing the co-auditing area, which is most difficult area in your syllabus. This is the most difficult area for many of you. So therefore, we have done a lot of webinars on that. I request every one of you to go and watch that 9 webinars. And then internal controls, the part A and B we have discussed. Remember, part B is the practical application of internal control, where cash management has been discussed in detail, so that you can go and watch that. And also there's another webinar for the revision. So basically you are aware, so when you are attending, this is a MCQ question. If your paper is MCQ question, you know, basically in this world most difficult examination mode, right? That is most difficult. So how you should get approach to the paper, what are the techniques that you should adopt? So have been discussed on this particular revision program. So webinar number 12. So you can go and watch them. So remember, your MCQ questions, approaching MCQ question is very crucial, because even if you know the subject knowledge, sometime if you don't apply the correct techniques in approaching the question, you may not be able to identify the proper answer given the limited time for the examination, right? Because your MCQ questions are not very just a very small 1 or 2 line. It contains about a half a page sometime. So therefore, you need some practice in questions with the techniques. So as you can remember, I have told you all mainly there are 2 golden rules that need to be applied in practicing the questions. Number 1 is elimination theory. What is the elimination theory? The elimination theory means what? So you have to not to identify the correct answer, but what you need to do is you have to identify the 2 wrong answers. If you try to identify the correct answer out of the given 4, the chances of making wrong conclusion is very high. ඒක නිසා මම හැමදාම කියන්නේ MCQ ප්‍රශ්නවල හරි උත්තරේ හොයන්න ගියොත් 4න් වරදින්න දෙන සම්භාවිතාවය වැඩි. ඒක නිසා අපි කරන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද? අපි පුළුවන් තරම් වැරදි පිළිතුරු දෙකක් ඔතනින් අයින් කරගන්න ඕනේ. Elimination theory. You remove the 2 answers from the main answer. You remove that 2. And there is another 2. Another second golden rule. The first golden rule is elimination theory. The second golden rule is that you should remember is the immediate answer that comes to your mind may not be the correct answer. That you should have a proper understanding, right? Sometimes the immediate conclusion that we get is not correct, because examiner knows that you are coming to this conclusion. Accordingly, examiner will tailor-make the question for you to make the wrong conclusion sometimes. Actually, to test your knowledge, one. The second thing is, so you need to have a proper concentration at the examination. If you don't have the concentration, the paper is going to be difficult. Even if you know the subject knowledge, you will not be able to get through the examination. So therefore, there are 2 golden rule, elimination theory, and the second one, the immediate answer that comes to your mind may not be the correct answer. Right? Clear? So I request, so take a A4 paper and write these two golden rules and write and keep in a place where you study, and always look at these golden rules while you are attending the question. So further information are available in this webinar number 12. You can go and watch that. So basically we are coming to the today's session now. So we are on section D of your syllabus. That section D, the weightage is 15% of the syllabus, and we have 2 chapters, chapter 10 and chapter 11. Chapter 10, basically we have done a separate webinar of the previous examination. You can go and watch that. And chapter 11 is there are two areas. One is ethics, other one is a green term. This is with regard to the co-auditing flow SLA US 210. So my intention today is not to discuss, this is a very small area, but to discuss the ethics. So there will be definitely maybe sometime 4 to 5 questions. 4 to 5 questions would come from this particular area. So that means 8 to 10 marks sometime maybe from this particular section called ethics, and this is not very difficult. It can be done. If you look at this particular chapter, if you look at this particular chapter, in this chapter we have to learn, I will go to the study text later. In this chapter, basically we have to learn 6 areas. Number 1, the law, ethics and morality, the importance of ethical behavior for accountants, fundamental principles of professional ethics, ethical threats, dealing with threats to professional ethical behavior, and the ethical views and theories, right? So this is a very important section. They are highly examinable, will be discussed during this session 1 or session 2. So therefore, actually in the study text, if you go, there are 7 learning outcomes, but the 7th one is the agreed terms, so which will not be discussed. That is covered under the SLAS 210, the co-auditing area. So my purpose of today's session is to cover up all these 6 learning outcomes in a practical aspect and discuss the question to see whether you can answer those questions and develop a logical thinking rather memorizing the theory. So when you study in your CA examination, as you are aware, this learning outcomes is very much important. What is meant by learning outcome? The learning outcome means by learning all these 6 areas, what the CA Sri Lanka expect from you, what the CA Sri Lanka examiner is going to test your knowledge. Most of our CA students don't take this as a serious thing. Make a seriously gun learning outcome. But remember, the learning outcome is a so crucial thing in attending the CA examination. Your paper will be set, or a paper will be prepared based on this learning outcome, as I know. So therefore, always look at the chapter contents that what is given and look at the learning outcome. So learning outcome mean what is the knowledge or application that is expected by CA Sri Lanka from you by learning this particular chapter. If you go to the study text, this is clearly given, right? The number 1 in terms of this particular chapter, explain the concept of auditors' independence and recognize why those undertaking and assurance engagement are required to be independent of their clients. Recognize deontological and teleological views of ethics. Describe ethical decision-making models that could be applied in an ethical conflict scenario. At the moment, you don't know what it is this. You don't know. Don't worry about that. We'll discuss these 6 areas of your study text, and we'll come and see whether end of the day of this particular 2 webinars, whether you will be able to answer or whether you have the sufficient knowledge in terms of these 3 learning outcomes. If it is there, don't worry. So definitely, whatever the question that is coming in your examination, you will be able to answer in a proper way. Right? Clear? So we are going to discuss today, we are going to discuss this particular chapter 11, ethics, not the engagement acceptance. So ethics we are going to discuss. Under the ethics chapter, if you go to the study text, you have 7 areas to be learned, but out of that 6 areas are applicable for ethics that will be discussing today. After discussing that, you should be able to answer into these 3 learning outcomes. Clear? Systematic learning is important, because if you are a systematic only, you will be able to be systematic at the examination. Then only you will be able to answer the question. So not only that, if you are systematic only, one day when you become a chartered accountant, you can apply your knowledge, you can practice your knowledge, and you can work according to your stakeholders' requirements. So the systematic learning, systematic saving of the knowledge is important to take out the knowledge in a systematic way, right? So therefore, again, I'm telling this learning outcome, 6 areas we are going to discuss and to cover up the 3 learning outcome as given in the study text. If you look at the type of question, after learning this particular area, we will be able to answer these questions. These type of questions would be coming into examination in relation to Code of Ethics. Which of the following is the correct definition of integrity in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka? Which of the following is the correct definition of integrity? To not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override professional or business judgment, to maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required to ensure that a client and employer receives competent professional services, to comply with relevant laws and regulation and avoid any action that discredit the profession, to be straightforward and honest in all business and professional relationship. Very simple question. If you just know the theory, in simply, you can answer. This is a direct theory question. So in your examination, there will be two types of questions. One is direct theory question. Other one is a small practical application questions. So this is a direct theory question. So this is a practical application question. Which of the following safeguard could be implemented? Which of the following safeguard could be implemented to address a self-review threat to objectivity? Which of the following safeguard could be implemented to address a self-review threat to objectivity? Number one, separate teams with separate reporting lines, rotation of team members, independently quality control reviews, information restriction among members of staff. So you have to select one of the four answers given. So it could be either direct theory question or it could be either the indirect theory question. So end of the day, if you learn this particular area in a bit on a practical way, assuming that you are a chartered accountant and what are the principles that you need to apply, then you can write any of the questions that are coming in your examination. Right? First of all, let us learn this the 6 learning chapter contents in a summarized form. I will not be able to discuss in detail, but I will explain in a summarized form, and then we will come and discuss the questions that are given in the revision kit and the pilot paper and the mock examination paper. Right? This is your study text, chapter 11, ethics and agree in the terms of the engagement. This is what you should study. This is a study material. So as I told you, if you go to the chapter contents which I show you at my presentation, basically you have to learn the 7 learning outcomes. Out of that, law, ethics and morality. 1, the importance of ethical behavior for accountant, fundamental principle of professional ethics, ethical threats, dealing with threats to professional ethical behavior, ethical views and theories, right? So the agree in terms of the engagement is not discussed because that is coming under the auditing flow discussion, right? As I told you, each and every chapter of CS Sri Lanka examination of any subject. So be alert on all these learning outcomes which are given at the beginning of each and every chapter, because I explained you in my presentation, these are important because these are the things that are expected from you by CS Sri Lanka through learning this particular subject or through learning this particular chapter. And these are the things based on these learning outcomes only, your examination paper will be prepared by the examiner, right? So let us go and discuss in a summarized form on all these 6 learning outcomes, and then we come for the question discussions. Right? So our topic today is ethics. What is meant by ethics? In Sinhala we call for this Achara Dharma. Achara Dharma. What is meant by ethics? Before starting the ethics, let us see how these ethics are going to be applied. For a chartered accountant, one day when you will become a chartered accountant, that is why all these hard works are done by you. Sleepless nights, so much of commitment you are doing to become a chartered accountant. After becoming chartered accountant, how these ethics are going to be applied is your subject, is your topic in this particular BL5 section D. right? Coming under section D, right? Okay, so let's see. We'll see how this ethics is going to come. Now, let's say you are now, so let's say you are a student of, you have done the BL1, business level 1 examination, and you are on now business level 2 examination, or you might have done from the AAT, and you might have come to the business level 2 from your AAT, that is from your O level, you might have come here, or you might have come from your A level, come to here, and now you are here. No sooner you complete your business level, you know, you are going to go for your next level, next advanced level, corporate level. We are meeting again your webinars on the corporate level 1 subject, CL1 Advanced Routine Assurance. And then after corporate level, you are coming to the strategic level, most difficult area in your CA examination. And then you come to the case study. Case study. So that is one examination where you have to apply your knowledge that you gathered in your throughout the auditing subjects or throughout the CA subject and throughout your practical training experience. And once you complete your CA examination, and also when you have a 3 years training, 3 years training, right? And once you complete all other soft skill modules, you will become ACA, Associate Chartered Accountant. This was your dream, to become a member of such a prestige professional. Whenever you start your A level, api A level පටන් ගන්න කාලේ api A level ළමයිකින් යකුත් කොමස් කරන ළමයිකින් ගොඩක් අය කියන්නේ මොකද්ද වාගේ බලාපොරොත්තුව වරලත් කනකාධිකාරීවරයෙකු වෙන එක. In becoming a chartered accountant, that journey is not easy, but journey is challengeable. But if you achieve this journey, your life, everything is settled down, right? So your dreams, you had a lot of dreams in becoming a chartered accountant and getting a vehicle and getting a house and taking care of your, looking after your parents, sisters, brothers, family, relations. You have a lot of dreams. All those dreams are based on your final destination of becoming a chartered accountant. That is why you have selected this journey. But believe one word that I am telling, it is achievable. It can be done. What is needed is only you need is a really planned, well-structured program and a mind. You need to have a stable mind. Rather changing your mind in between with the challenges or the opportunities or all those other things that are coming in your this 3 to 4 years journey. So you need to set your mind, I'm going to achieve this my objective in becoming a chartered accountant, so I will do it. So I also had that objective long time ago. I achieved it. I have seen many of the students, many of our friends, our age, and many of the students after that, they have achieved it. So why you can't? You can it. You can do it. It's not. It's something which can be done. Only thing is you need to have a really stable, strong mind to work towards that. Not only just talking, you have to do it in a practical terms. Work hard and always keep the goal of achieving this dream of becoming a chartered accountant, right? Once it is achieved, everything is settled down. All your dreams, what you had, you can look after your parents, you can look after your sisters, brothers, your relations, or whoever. And also you can do something to the society, and your economic situation is going to be changed. Your social status is going to be changed. Everything is going to be changed once you become a chartered accountant. So it is I would say it is a package. It is a package. It is not only you getting the designation or the name called chartered accountant, but everything is going to be changed. That is why most of the students, they without giving up, they somehow try to complete the examination and try to become a chartered accountant, right? It can be done. So let's do it. Okay. Now, one day when you become a chartered accountant, then you will be called for the convocation for a BMICH or a similar location like that, and you won't sleep before the convocation because it was your dream and you have achieved and that much of happy, and you will take the photograph and lot. You will carry your parents to the location where you are getting the membership. Likewise, it's a remarkable day. It's a remarkable day. So there will be a day for you. I wish all of you should have that day. So whenever you go to that particular location, let's say BMICH, after taking the photos and all, you will go inside the BMICH or any other hall inside, and all newly qualified chartered accountants are there. So you just imagine how beautiful the day. So then your parents are there and your name will be appeared as a chartered accountant, and the guest will be there. They will welcome you as a chartered accountant, newly qualified. The happiness, the feeling that you will feel on that day, it's a really different thing. It's a completely different thing, right? That still I can remember my day. It's about now almost 9 years ago. So 9 years ago, 8 years ago that I got that, still that day I can exactly remember. So what happened? Still I feel that when I tell, even I feel that the happiness of that day inside the BMICH. Right? Okay. So now, so once you become ACA, that there will be a function like that. You will be given your membership of associate chartered accountant. Once you become a chartered accountant, everything is changed. Your way of talking, way of dressing, way of dealing, everything is going to be changed. So all those are personal matters. When you are becoming a chartered accountant, you have to maintain certain things. One of the things is ethics. Now, have you seen? Now, you might have seen, you might have gone to see the cricket match in R. Premadasa Stadium, or you might have gone to see the cricket match in Pallekale, or Ampantota, Surivavar. Have you seen, or you might be watching the television? Have you seen anywhere? KPMG, PwC, Creston, video partners, big audit firm names are coming as the advertisement? No. Have you seen when you go in this road, Gold Road, Candy Road, Avisavela Road, or whatever the roads, the big boards are there. Sun, Silk, Life, Boy, big boards are there. Have you seen anywhere? Video partners, 10% discount, seasonal discount. Have you seen? No. If when you are selected to when you apply for audit firm and you call for an interview, you are called for an interview. When you go for the audit firm, it is very difficult to find out. Why? There are no big boards, big market and digital boards are not there. Why is that? And in media, have you seen too many chartered accountants in the media? Have you seen? There can be some occasions depending on the circumstances, but no. Have you seen anywhere? It's still KPMG is the best audit firm than the all other audit firm, or the video partners or the Creston is a bigger audit firm. Now I'm a practicing chartered accountant. Can I say that the Creston or I'm the best in the practicing? So we will be delivering this and 10% discount will be given. Please come and join with us. Have you seen anywhere? No. Right? This ethics comes into the discussion with this. When you become a chartered accountant, that is mandatory, but even while you are at a student, also it is mandatory. So there is a separate booklet given by CA Sri Lanka, right? If you are a chartered accountant, right? There is a book issued by CA Sri Lanka. That is called Code of Ethics. Right? Code of Ethics. This code of ethics booklet is applicable for all the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of Sri Lanka. That booklet talks about what should be your behavior or what should be your conduct. It is not a law, but as a chartered accountant, how you should work, how you should face the challenges, what are the fundamentals you should maintain, right? How you maintain the status of a chartered accountant without giving a discredit for the profession. Because if you make a mistake as a chartered accountant, it is the damage is not only for you, but the damage for the entire profession. Damage for the entire profession. So therefore, this every chartered accountant should comply with the ethical guideline given by the CA Sri Lanka that is documented in the Code of Ethics. This talks about your professional dealing, not the personal dealing. This talks about your professional relationships, professional dealings. Either it can be a chartered accountant in business, it can be a chartered accountant in practice. What is the difference between the chartered accountant in business and chartered accountant in practice? The chartered accountant in business means chartered accountants who are working as an employee in the mercantile sector, accountant, CFO, the finance director, the CEO, or the finance manager, or chief financial officer, or whoever working as an employee and running the finance function of the organization. We call chartered accountant in business, not only finance, maybe some other related areas also, maybe operational. Chartered accountant in practice means audit firm partners like us. We conduct the audits and related services for our clients. So both these people must comply with the code of ethics, but different requirements are there. But this code of ethics must be complied by both the people. It is mandatory. Now, in your study perspective, this particular booklet, we have to learn under the BL5, we have to learn under the CL1, and we have to learn under the SL1. So all three levels in the auditing related subject. So this code of ethics discussions are included. The BL5, it talks about the basic application of ethics in relation to the chartered accountant, which are given by the Sri Lanka Code of Ethics, right? So this booklet, you don't have to look at this booklet for your examination perspective. Look at the study text, that is more than enough. No need to look at beyond that. But if you really want to know after you finish the examination or when you come to the next level, this booklet will be important. So therefore, I will show you where this booklet and from where you can get this soft copy. If you go to CA Sri Lanka website, right? In the CA Sri Lanka website, under the technical publication, if you go to the publication regulations, you can see the code of ethics come here, right? And 2009, 14, 16, and 20 versions are available. So your perspective, so now the latest available is 2020 version. But remember, in your examination perspective, the September 2021. So this 2020 publication is applicable for the examination on or after 1st October 2021. So therefore, the new changes are not applicable for your examination. But as far as the BL5 is concerned, whether it is a 2016 or 2020, there is no much difference coming because we talk only of the basic application in terms of your subject, right? So if you download this booklet, you can download. This booklet is available. And this is whenever you have a time after you finish the examination, if you are going to be a chartered accountant now, and you can just have a look into this, right? Anyway, when you come to the next level, the CL1, so you will have to learn a lot of application here. And also when it comes to SL1, there will be further application here, right? So this is Code of Ethics 2020 and all those details are given, Chairman's message. And then this is the content. So you can see this content is also they complying with the code fundamental principle. Likewise, all those things are there, but don't worry for the moment. I just wanted to show you how this is coming in your, from where you can get this booklet for further further verification or a further reference. Right. So basically, now what I want to tell here, this code of ethics talks about the chartered accountant's life. Right. This code of ethics talk about, so if you are a chartered accountant in one day, so definitely you are going to be a chartered accountant, right? So that has to be achieved. Qualify good or bad. That means you have to go against your mind. Your mind will come and block you. No, we'll do that and this, and finally your mind will be push you back. So that is why I'm told you have to do the pressure to your mind. No, I'm going to do. Somehow I do this and I'll complete and I'll become a chartered accountant and I'll achieve my dream. That is why I meant that the good or bad. So you have to do by, it is good. If your mind is stable and it works toward that, it is good. If it is not there, mind goes different, then the bad practices has to come. Bad practices mean push your mind. No, even though I call it as a bad practice, that is not a bad practice. It's pushing your mind to do to this journey and complete the examination, right? Okay, the CA sheet. Now let's say one day you become a chartered accountant, and very nice day for you. And let's say you are a chartered accountant now. When you become a chartered accountant, everything is disclosed here, right? So one important discussion goes here is fundamental principles. Right? That means one day when you become a chartered accountant, you have to maintain the fundamental principles, qualities, attributes. For you to be called as a chartered accountant, you should have 5 attributes, 5 qualities that must be maintained. Principles must be maintained. That is one of the key discussion. Once you become a chartered accountant, these must be there. That we have to discuss under this code of ethics. And number 2, we discussed here. Threats. What is that? Threats. The threats mean when you are working as a chartered accountant one day, you will have to face some challenges. Now I will tell you one example. Now you are an auditor of, let's say you are auditor of John Keel's Holding PLC. Let's as an example. When you go and do an audit, you identify there is a 10 million fraud that is perpetrated or committed by the accountant. Accountant gives you a call in the evening and say, look here, auditor, I know that you have noticed that I have engaged in the 10 million fraud. I will give you 2 million money. Don't disclose this one. What happened now? Even though we are compelled to maintain the fundamental principle, when we try to maintain, it is the environmental factors don't allow you to maintain that. Threats are arising. Let's say another basic example, right? And your client, you are auditor of, let's say you are auditor of Cinnamon Hotels. The CFO tells you, look here, and you have done a great job. I'm giving you for a 1 week holidays in a, let's say another hotel in Trinco or the Batikalo, Pasikuda, and with your family at the free of charge. Are you going to accept or not? It is a challenge for you. Why? You cannot maintain your qualities, your principles, because environment give you a challenges. How to deal with that problem? Now, so you are auditor of, let's say you are auditor of Strangila, or you are auditor of Watch Jewelers. At the end of the audit, the managing director is very happy about your service, and he is telling you, look here, so you are a very good auditor. I'm really happy. I'm going to give you a one gold item, 2 pounds. 2 pounds, some big gold items is given for that. You are, let's say you are a girl and you are given that much of import a valuable 1 gold instrument. Are you going to take or not? You cannot decide as you wished. How to decide that? Guideline is given in this booklet, Code of Ethics. So threats mean while you are trying to maintain this fundamental principle, you will have to face some challenges. Those challenges are called threats. While the threats are there, how to deal with that threats are called safeguards. Safeguards. We call safeguard. We'll discuss those in detail. I'm just telling you the overall picture of this particular code of ethics. So safeguard in the sense, now first of all, you have to maintain the fundamental principles, being a chartered accountant. Number two, even though whatever the principle you are trying to maintain, there are challenges in the society. Now, very basic example for you to explain this one. Let's say you are a guy and you have decided not to take the drinks. Now already you are let's say you have been taking the drinks and liquor, and now you decided, no, I won't take. I'm not going to take the liquors hereafter. Your principle you set. Do you think your friends will allow you to do that? No. Oh, now next day comes one of the birthday celebration of one of your friends, and you have the get together, and your friends threats are coming. Now birthday party is becoming a threat to you to maintain your fundamental principle of not taking the liquor. See, even if you try to maintain the good principle in this society, the society environment is not giving you a room to maintain those. Similarly, being a chartered accountant, I try to maintain a lot of fundamental principles in my professional dealing. My environment will not support to you. My environment will give me challenges, barriers, bottleneck, limitations in carrying out those or continuing with those principles. හැබැයි එහෙම තිබුණයි කියලා අපි පිටිපස්සට යනවද? නෑ. චාර්ටර් ඉන්ස්ටිටියුට් එක අපිට කියනවා නෑ. හරි, ඔයා ෆන්ඩමෙන්ටල් ප්‍රින්සිපල් ටික මේන්ටේන් කරන්න. බැරි වෙන අභියෝග එනවා. ඒ අභියෝගන අවස්ථාවලදී කොහොමද වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා ත්‍රෙට්ස් වල විස්තර කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ කියනවා එහෙම අවස්ථාවක් ආවොත් මෙන්න මේ වගේ ආරක්ෂිත උපාය මාර්ග ප්‍රමාණයක් ගන්න කියලා කියනවා. When there are such a threats, then take the appropriate safeguards. So those also given in this particular booklet. Actually, the code of ethics booklet which we are talking here, which I show you here, this code of ethics booklet, which is issued by Sri Lanka, which is applicable for your examination, is basically telling you these three things. One day, as such a prestige chartered accountant, how you should maintain the fundamental principle is one, and how you should deal with threats. While dealing the threats, what are the safeguards, safety measures that you can take, right? These are the three things which are being discussed in your syllabus context, right? I hope that you have some good understanding into this. Now I will be going into that learning outcome one by one, but this is the background of the code of ethics. One day, when you become a chartered accountant, your journey is very fantastic, beautiful journey. You become a chartered accountant. And one day when you become a chartered accountant, you have to comply with the code of ethics. Remember, this code of ethics is applicable for you as well as being a student. And either irrespective of the chartered accountant business or a practice, these code of ethics are mandatory. Those code of ethics are you have to learn under the BL5, CL1, SL1, all three subjects. But the basic applications are basically being discussed in your BL5. And in BL5, basically what we are talking is, as a chartered accountant, what are the fundamental principles that we need to maintain? What type of challenges that I would come? What type of challenges will come to me as a chartered accountant? How can I overcome those challenges are basically being discussed as the safeguard. Remember, I have told you previously also, when you are learning the auditing subject, the technical terms are very, very important. So you have to use these technical terms, fundamental principle, safeguard, threat, safeguard, all those terms are very important. So this is how your overall picture of the ethics we are going to discuss now. Clear? Right? I hope that you are clear. All right. So now I told you, having said this, this is the background. Basically, in your study text, I show you, basically we have to learn six things. One is law, ethics, and morality. The importance of ethical behavior for accountant. The fundamental principle. See, this is the fundamental principle that I told you, and the ethical threats, and the dealing with threats to the professional ethical behavior. So this is the key three things of the code of ethics that we should aware: fundamental principle, ethical threats, and threats to professional ethical behavior. Right? And these two things are additional matters. So if you know this chapter is over. Right? Let us look at quickly one by one. Now, starting from the law, ethics, and morality, and the importance of ethical behavior. The number one learning outcome that you should aware is, right, there are three principles that you should aware. One is law, morality, and ethics. There are three words come in the discussion. What is this law? What is meant by morality? What is meant by ethics? This is examinable. This could be tested in your examination because there were exam questions in the mock examination paper. We will discuss once this section is over. So now first point that you should aware is what is meant by law. What is meant by law? Now take an example to explain you the law. Now these days quarantine law is applicable. If you violate the quarantine law, you will get punished, you will be arrested. Now, I want to kill someone tomorrow. Can I kill? I can kill, but the punishment also will come. Now, if you want to go on the road without the helmet of the bike, can you? You can, but finally, you will get punished by the police officers. Whenever you want to incorporate a company in Sri Lanka, you can incorporate, but there are some subject to certain restrictions given by the government. Once the company is incorporated, you can do your business activities. End of the day, you have to pay taxes. Can you avoid the taxes being paid? බදු ගෙවන්න තු ඉන්න පුළුවන්ද? පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මොකද වෙන්නේ? The Inland Revenue Department has the legal authority to take a legal action against you. Clear? So therefore, this law means it is a mandatory thing. If you comply, it is good. If you don't comply, there will be a punishment, fine, or something will come. So therefore, we call law, the law sets a minimum standard. Law sets the minimum standard of behavior to the people. ඒ කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයන් විසින් පවත්වාගෙන ආ යුතු අවම මට්ටමක් සමාජයේ. ඔකන අවම චර්යාවක්. නිශ්චිත කරලා දෙන්නේ නීතියක් මගින්. හැබැයි ඒක නොවෙන්නට පුළුවන් සමාජය බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේ. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. The law gives you the minimum requirement that you should comply. But that is not enough to run a society or continue or live with a society. Right? So therefore, the definition of a law, I'll explain you the link between the law and the morality later. The law sets a minimum standard. Minimum standard of behavior. Right? So it gives you a minimum standard. Example, criminal law, civil law. Likewise, there are so many laws. These are passed in the Sri Lankan Parliament, if any other country, the relevant regulatory body. So this is a law. There is a law enforcement authority. There is a police people to overlook whether the law is complied. Or if those are not taken, there is another court system to overlook why the law is breached and accordingly take the take the punishment or the fines or whatever, right? And let's say Companies Act, so many acts are there. Companies Act and Inland Revenue Act, right? Inland Revenue Act. So likewise, it sets a minimum standard of behavior. Minimum standard of behavior. So if you don't comply, there will be punishment. So that doesn't mean all are compliant with the law. Hamoma law එක comply වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ සාමාන්‍යයෙන්. දැන් quarantine law එක දැම්මට පස්සේ අපි තුමු අන්තර්පළාත් province දෙකක් අතර මාරු වෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වහම අපේ අය මාරු නොවී ඉන්නවද? shortcut එකක් හොයාගෙන යනවා. Still there are people who don't comply with the law. Right? Therefore, by implementing only a law in the country cannot be corrected everything. Cannot have a good society. That is why you call sets a minimum standard of behavior. It gives you only a minimum standard of behavior. And number two is, right? Number two, we call morality. Morality. What is meant by morality? Number one, this is number one. And this is number two, morality. What is that? The morality mean, like let's say the war. Let's take an example of the war. The war, somebody can say war is good. Now let's say Afghan war, Afghanistan war. Somebody can say this is a good, somebody can say war is not good. Right? Somebody can say, let's say poor, let's say the income. Somebody can say that every people should have their activities and earn in their incomes. Somebody can say no, anyone can earn the income, but it has to be distributed among everyone in equal basis, reasonableness. So that's how the people think. I may think war is good, war is good. You may say no, war is not good. Another example, let's say, can somebody go on the roads without clothes? Can somebody go on that? As far as I know, legally there is no restrictions. You can go, even halfway through you can go. But the problem is what? The problem is whether the society is going to accept. No. I may think that that is not good. That particular person will think that that is good. So therefore, now I'll tell another example for you. Let's say in a company, rather a company, let's say there is a person, there was a person, that person, and there was a kid, that men and the woman, and there was a kid. Both men and women died due to an accident, that both mother and father died. Now kid remains. This father of that kid has a brother. Now let's say you are that brother. Now you have to take a call whether that particular kid should be looked after by you. Then අම්මයි තාත්තයි ළමයෙකු ඉන්න වෙලාවකදී අම්මයි තාත්තයි ඇක්සිඩන්ට් එකක් වෙලා මැරෙනවා. ඒතර ඉතුරු වෙලා ඉන්නේ පොඩි එක්කනා විතරයි කිඩ්. එතකොට එයාව බාර ගන්න කවුරුත් නැහැ. ඊ බාර ගන්න ඉන්නවා අර මරුණ නැත්නම් ඒ මරුණ තාත්තගේ සහෝදරයා. The brother of the father who died. Now if he can think like this particular small kid is the son of my brother, I have ethical responsibility to look after them. That is how you think. At the meantime, he may think like this way also. I don't have any legal responsibility to look after this kid. If somebody is making some payment to me, I will look after. Can he think or cannot? He can't think. He can think like that. මට යම් කිසි ගෙවීමක් කරොත් මම ඒ පොඩි එකනා බලා ගන්නවා කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. But what is the point here? The point here, the morality, what I think that is correct, the personal belief on what is correct, what is wrong. It is not the law. It is something beyond the law. අපි මේ කියන්නේ අර සංස්කෘතිය සදාචාරය කියලා කියන්නේ. It is something beyond the law. It is not the law. So therefore, The morality mean personal belief. On what is correct, and what is wrong, what is right and what is wrong. That is my thinking. Example, woe is good, woe bad. I may think woe is good. Somebody can say woe is bad. Right? Clear? Right. So then morality is beyond the law. This is beyond the law. Remember, this is not a morality now. Even the law, I can tell that this law is not reasonable. Let's say if a person makes a mistake on the road, the fine is 150,000. He cannot pay. It's not reasonable. It is my belief. Even the law, I may not accept. It's my belief. We call morality. Right? The third important thing that you should be aware now, we are coming to the ethics. Right? Ethics. We are coming to the ethics. Now, what is meant by ethics? Remember, these ethics are, I will draw like this, then you will understand in a better way, right? You will understand. I draw here. I may say that law is a small scope like this, right? And morality is, I may say it is beyond the law, morality. So I'll draw in a bigger way. Right. I may say like this. I may say law is like this, right? And I may say morality is like this, right? Morality is beyond the law. Now I'm telling ethics is, it is further beyond the law and morality. So that means ethics is not limited only to a law. Ethics is not limited only to a morality. It is a combination. It is a combination of the law, morality, values, and all those. And it is a higher advanced concept. It is technically higher advanced concept. Ethics, right? Ethics mean what? The ethics mean, right? It explains how people should conduct themselves. Rather, someone else come and force you to correct. Rather, you go by your own way of thinking of what is correct and right. We follow a one common platform, how we should conduct ourselves. It explains, it sets the rules, it includes the rules and standards. Right? Ethics mean, if I give you the definition, ethics mean its rules and standards, how people should conduct, themselves, right? How people should conduct themselves. No one is coming and controlling you, but you control yourself. You control yourself based on the framework that is pre-decided. That is the framework based on the framework which is decided by your own or your corporate or your professional body or by the external party. So therefore, the ethics always a combination of the law and morality. It's not only the law, it is not only the morality. Right? And the example which I told you, when you go for an audit and whether you are given a gift, let's say you are going to the audit of the Crispo chicken, and at the end of the audit, so you are given a 10 kilogram of chicken to take to your home. Whether are you going to take or not, it is your professional ethics to decide. At what circumstances would come, we don't know. Whatever the circumstances that comes, you have a framework to apply, and apply the framework and work accordingly, right? So therefore, the ethics mean rules and standards about how people should conduct themselves, right? So that is the definition. So therefore, just remember, the law sets the minimum standard, and the morality goes about the personal belief on what is correct and what is wrong. And ethics we talk about, it is more structured one. It is a combination of the law, morality. We call in Sinhala Achara Dharma. Achara Dharma කියන එක ඇවිල්ලා ආචාර ධර්ම කියන එක ඇවිල්ලා මම යම් දෙයක් දිහා දකින්න විදියක් මම යමක් දිහා දකින්න විදිය ආචාර ධර්මයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ආචාර ධර්මයක් වෙන්නේ ඒ සියලු කාරණා එකතු වෙලා හැදිච්ච පොදු මූල ධර්ම ප්‍රමාණයක්. Right, so we call ethics. We are talking in this world, it's a very wider concept. We talk about the media ethics, we talk about the accountant ethics, we talk about the ethics in everywhere, government ethics, political ethics, ethical, lot of things, lot of places we discussed this ethics, right? This ethics generally we can talk into a different level now, ethics, right? So this ethics generally you can see, number one, individuals, you and me have our own ethics. And the organization I call corporates. Corporates have their own ethics. If you look at the John Key Holding, if you look at the commercial bank, they have their own code of corporates ethics, how they should conduct the business activities. And the third thing, the professionals have their own ethics. Chartered accountant, doctors, engineers, IT consultants, right? All the professionals in the world, they have own their ethics, professional bodies. Now, if you take the lawyers, when you go to the lawyer's office, the lawyer's board, notice board or whatever the name board, it is on the white color font in the black background. When they go to the court, they wear the black and white. So they have professional ethics. So each and every profession have their own ethics. But as far as our chartered accountants are concerned, we don't learn all the ethics that are applicable for all the profession in this world. What we learn, so we learn only a chartered accountant's ethics. That is given for us is a code of ethics issued by CA Sri Lanka. So therefore, as a chartered accountancy student, you are not going to learn all the ethics in the world, but you are going to learn the ethics that are applicable for chartered accountant in one day, right? So this is the background of the law, morality, and ethics. So there were some questions being tested in your examination. So let us finish this another one or two areas, and then we'll go for the questions and to see how this law, morality, and ethics have been tested by the examiner in the examination question. And there was one more thing you can see in the study text. There is something called values, right? Values mean always it's a personal value. This morality, the morality concepts are based on the values. The morality concepts are based on the individual values. It is, I would say, morality and values goes together, right? When it comes to ethics, ethics comprise law, values, morality, all those, and it is a wider, bigger concept, right? So this is the basic explanation for the law, morality, and ethics. So I will give you another example. Let's say you are the accountant of the company, and when you are purchasing the item, you have agreed with the small suppliers to make the payment within 1 month, 30 days credit period, and you will make the payment within 30 days. You should make the payment, but you intentionally delay the payment and you try to get an advantage from that. But you have the money, you won't pay. Is it illegal? Not illegal. It is not illegal. But is it ethical? No, it is not ethical. Why? So many companies are depending on that income. Their employees are depending on that income. That families of that employees are depending on that income. So therefore you have to make the payment on time. It is ethical. Another example, you might have a word called tax haven. Tax haven කියලා කියන්නේ දැන් ලෝකෙ දැන් අහලා සමහර අය කියනවා politicians ලා discuss කරද්දී කියනවා මෙයාගේ සල්ලි දෙනවා ඩුබායි වල ස්විට්සර්ලන්ඩ් වල තියෙනවා පැනමා වල තියෙනවා සීසල් වල තියෙනවා Why we are Singapore, why we are talking about these few countries? There are few countries in the world, so there you can go and invest any amount of money, the less taxes are applicable, and they will keep the confidentiality of the data, information. So therefore, most of the Sri Lankan also, when they have their money, they go and park in the Dubai, they go and park in the Panama, they go and park in the Switzerland, because no taxes. If you keep in Sri Lanka, a lot of restriction and a lot of taxes are applicable. Now, if somebody asks a question from me, sir, whether investing in Dubai, investing money in the Switzerland, is it illegal? No, it is not illegal. But is it ethical? Why? You are not paying the current applicable taxes in Sri Lanka, but you get all the benefit for your company. All the benefits are obtained, but you don't pay the correct taxes in Sri Lanka. Instead, you go and invest in the tax haven countries. It is illegal. It is not illegal. It is legal, but not ethical. But not ethical. Right? So this is the explanation for the first point that we needed to learn. The second point in your study text, if you go now, so this is the first point, law, ethics, and morality. The second thing is the importance of ethical behavior for accountants. So why these ethical practices are important? Basically, number 2, the whiteboard, number 2. Why ethics are important? Why ethics are important? So these ethical practices are important for the accountant due to various reasons. So this is also a highly examinable. So these ethical practices are important. Why? Right? The main reason is the public interest. What is that? What is that public interest? Let's say you are auditor of, perpetual treasuries. The recently collapsed company will take perpetual treasuries company, and they have their stakeholders, maybe the government or the public deposit money and like that. And these perpetual treasuries prepare the finance statement and give it to the stakeholders. But these stakeholders, they don't believe this management. Therefore, they go for a chartered accountant and say, look here, chartered accountant, can you go and check this finance statement prepared by the management, and can you give me a report? Right? Why the shareholders or stakeholders comes to you? Because you are an independent person which is recognized by the third party people. You are an independent accountant who can overlook this finance statement and can give an independent report. That is why you are being appointed, right? Then you have a duty to look after the public interest, right? You have a duty of public interest. In another day, these shareholders or stakeholders, they are going to rely on your report and make the investment decision. If they make a wrong investment decision, and if they lost their investment another day, so this particular people will come to the court and say, auditor has given me a wrong report and accordingly I made the investment. So therefore, you pay the compensation. Here there are two facts. One is this particular chartered accountant has a duty to look after the public interest. So public interest is number 1. So if you get some money from this perpetual treasuries management and you give a wrong report, end of the day, the public is going to suffer. You have a public duty. You have a public duty, right? That is number 1. Number 2, even though this chartered accountant has to act within the law, so that means if this chartered accountant must give a report to the shareholder, a proper report. So giving such proper report is a legal requirement. If you don't comply that legal requirement, end of the day, what will happen? These people can go to the court and take again the legal action against the auditor. So therefore, all the accountants, chartered accountants also are expected to comply with the ethical practices. Also expected to comply with the relevant laws. Right? So the second thing. all accountants are expected to comply with the law, right? And number 3, right, protect taxpayers' money. What is that? Let's say you are a chartered accountant and you are working in the government sector and you are dealing with the money, public money, taxpayers' money, then you have a duty to safeguard it. You have a duty to protect that money and give a real outcome to the relevant expected parties. So then, why it is important more than the law? You have to be an ethical person. Being a chartered accountant, you have to be a really ethical person. If you are not ethical, you won't think about the taxpayers' money, right? And 4th thing, right? Stakeholders, I may say stakeholder mean, let's say the client, or let's say the client or the employer, right? Expect a certain level of service, right? So that means from a chartered accountant, this particular employer or client expect a certain level of service. We need that level of service. To maintain that level of service, ethical practices are needed, right? Ethical practices are needed. So therefore, the 4 reasons now I have highlighted why ethics are important for accountant. Number 1, to maintain the public interest, and all accountants are expected to act within the law and protect the taxpayers' money, and shareholder or stakeholders expects to maintain a certain level of your service, certain level of knowledge, certain level of expertise from you, because you are expert in the chartered accountant mean you are expert in the industry. In accounting and auditing professions are governed by the chartered accountant. So you should have a minimum level of the knowledge, minimum level of the expertise, minimum level of practices to fulfill the requirement of the stakeholders, right? So this is the number 2, or the learning outcome number 2. It is given in the study text, right? I hope that you are very clear. Law, ethics and morality, systematic learning is important. I have told you all. Now we discuss this and we discuss this now, right? We come to the number 3rd important one, the fundamental principles of professional ethics. This is most critical and highly examinable, right? Right. The 3rd thing that we should aware is the fundamental principles. Of a chartered accountant. So this is a very, very important and highly examinable. So there is a higher possibility of testing in your examination as well. So there are many questions we will discuss after this. There are many questions that have come from this particular area, right? Okay. Basically, if you see, I just told at the beginning introduction, being a chartered accountant. Now, one day you go to the BMRCH and you get your chartered accountant membership. I told you, being a chartered accountant, you have to maintain the 5 fundamental principles, 5 fundamental attributes, 5 fundamental requirements. And අපි වෘත්තීමය ජීවිතේ නැත්නම් වෘත්තීමය වැඩ කටයුතු කරනකොට මේ මූලික මූලධර්ම 5 අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? It is something like religious matters. You shall maintain the fundamental principles that are given by CH Sri Lanka, that are prescribed by CH Sri Lanka in dealing all your professional and business matters, not the personal matters, but automatically when you adapt those into business and professional, automatically those will come to your personal application as well, right? Basically, now in being a chartered accountant, right, being a, I can't draw the pictures, right? Being a chartered accountant, so he need to have these principles. Number 1, so he has to have the integrity. What is that? Integrity. So what do you mean by integrity? So integrity means not the honest. It's not the honest. Integrity is a different meaning than it is something beyond the honest, right? In all your professional and business relationships, dealings has to be, you have to be straightforward and honest. Right, honest. So honesty must be maintained. So you have to be straightforward and honest in your all professional and business relationships. It is a mandatory requirement, right? It is something beyond the honesty. So you have to be really genuine in all business, on all business and professional dealings, right? So all business and professional dealings has to be straightforward and honest. So you have to work according to your genuineness. Your mind has to be really genuine. So then only you can do some proper work without getting into other objectives, right? That is number one, integrity. Just ensure whether now you are going to be a chartered accountant, you are a chartered student, whether you are genuine, whether you have a good integrity, where others will respect you if you have integrity. And number two, objectivity. Objectivity. What is meant by objectivity? So objectivity means what? What do you think on that? Objectivity. Objectivity. So the objectivity means when you set a goal or when you set an objective, you have to work towards that. Example, and if you are an auditor appointed by the shareholders to carry out the audit of the ABC Private Limited, and you come to know 5 million fraud has been perpetrated or committed by the accountant, an accountant comes and tell you, okay, we will give you 2 million money, please don't disclose this fraud. What will happen now? You need the money. What will happen? You will not disclose because of why? You need the money. But what is your objective? Your objective is to check this finance statement prepared by the management and give a report to the shareholder. That is your objective. You have to work to the objective. But the problem is when you are trying to work, there can be a lot of barriers come in like this and stop or block your normal routine activities. Objectivity mean, so what is the definition given in the Code of Ethics? The objectivity mean, so basically you have to be free from bias, conflict of interest, or free from undue influence, right? So you have to work towards achieving your objective, and you cannot be a bias to some specific thing. So you cannot have the conflict of interest. Example, if you are auditor of the Manchi, if you are auditor of Melbourne, so you are creating a conflict of interest because Manchi will think that you are giving information to Melbourne will think you are giving information to Manchi. So therefore you should avoid those type of complications. Conflict of interest we call Ghattanevana Sambandhata. So those must be avoided. You should keep only your objectivity, right? Let's say you are an audit firm partner, but you are the auditor of your brother's company. What will happen? So your objectivity will be compromised. If your client is giving a gift to you, your objectivity will be compromised. All right. So therefore, we will discuss those traits. So whatever the work that you do, always you need to maintain the objectivity. That is one of the important aspect that must be maintained by a chartered accountant. So we'll discuss when it comes to practical application further. The third things professional competence and due care. This is another important aspect, because professional competence and due care. When someone comes to you, someone else comes to you, take an advice from the accounting standard or from the, let's say, some other auditing standard application or something else. So there would be people coming to you and asking this. But only thing is, you need to have the knowledge. You need to have understanding. You need to have a expertise to comment on that requirement or fulfill that requirement. Competence must be there. Competence means the required level of knowledge and the exposure must be maintained by the chartered accountant. If today someone asks from a chartered accountant, if any chartered accountant cannot answer the current development, COVID-related financial reporting, SLFRS 16, leases recently introduced standard, right? What are the upcoming standards? So basic accounting application, SLFRS 15, revenue recognition. If someone is unable to answer, mean that, so that particular person has an issue with the professional competence, the required level of knowledge, to maintain or fulfill your organization requirement or your client requirement. So therefore, every chartered accountant should maintain the competence and the due care. So you have to act diligently. You have to have a due care. So due care, very basic, small example I will tell you, that is most of you don't have the due care. When you tell to come for a meeting at 8 o'clock, you come at 8:15, you don't have a due care. If you promise to client to deliver a work on by this Friday, you deliver after 1 week. So your due care is not there. So, and if your report is expected into a one quality, but you are not delivering into that, you don't have a due care. So therefore, competence and the due care must be maintained by each and every chartered accountant. So therefore, the competence mean, I would say, this is a professional knowledge and skills should be maintained to a required to the required level. To the required level. So for to enhance this, if you have become a chartered accountant one day, the Chartered Institute has made mandatory you the CPD hours, we call continuous professional development. Those hours are compulsory for you, so that you have to go and learn those seminars and know that to enhance your knowledge. To work as an up-to-date chartered accountant, you must maintain that. Not only that, one day when you become a chartered accountant, I request all of you, not only to compliance purpose, but to maintain your profession. You are a chartered accountant, your profession is you have to be competent. If someone asks you are similar age or you are young age or you are old age, and someone asks, you can't answer basic concept. What is that? So you should maintain the professional competence and due care. Right. Number fourth thing is confidentiality. What is that? So being a chartered accountant, when you go for now, let's say, and I'll tell you an example. Let's say you are auditor of Coca-Cola. If you are auditor of Coca-Cola and you are approached by the Mycola company and tell you, because auditor has all the information with regard to Coca-Cola, including the mix. Let's say that how to mix that Coca-Cola. If someone comes to know that mix, you can start up a similar company and Coca-Cola business will come down. So therefore, let's say Mycola company approach you and say that, look here, you are auditor, you have the access to all the information of the Coca-Cola. We'll give you a 5 billion money and we will give you a house in Australia. You can go to Australia and you don't have to work anything. And you go to Australia and you just wait there. 5 billion rupees are going to be given. Now, let's say I'm the auditor, I may be thinking, I will not be able to earn 5 billion money, even if I work till I die. So now they are going to give me the 5 billion money with the house in Australia. Why don't I take this one? Why don't I don't take it that? Right. So now you are a chartered accountant. Normal person can do it, but being a chartered accountant, You cannot disclose the information that you gathered as part of your professional, relationship or a professional deal, right? You cannot disclose, you cannot use those information to get a personal advantage or advantage of a third party person. So you can use only for the purpose of the audit or the other purpose that you gathered. You cannot use for any other purpose, right? So therefore, the confidentiality mean, right, information gathered, should not be used for personal law, any other third party's advantage. Right? So therefore, the information gathered by you should not be disclosed to a third party, or to a third party to get your advantage to you or to another third party. That should not be made. But there are three circumstances where you can disclose the information, even though you gather the information from a client. You can disclose on the three circumstances. I will tell you after finishing these 5 things, right? And number five is professional behavior. What is that? Being a chartered accountant, you have to maintain the professional behavior. Now see, when you look at a lawyer, there is a structure of a lawyer. Then when you see a doctor, when you go wearing a tie, and there's a different level of the different behavior of the doctor, right? Similarly, an accountant also run a profession. So you should maintain the professional behavior, and you should not discredit your profession. You should not bring discredit to your profession. Disreputation should not be brought by you to the profession. Now, let's say you can go to the court, you can go to the jail if you have done a personal mistake. But if you have done a mistake in your accountancy profession, so you will go to jail as a chartered accountant. What will happen? It is not only damaging to you, damaging to the entire chartered accountancy profession. So therefore, you have to have a responsibility as a chartered accountant. You should not bring your profession into disrepute, right? You should not bring your profession into disrepute, right? So that means any disreputation for your profession should not be brought by you. So these are the 5 fundamental principles: integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care. Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and the professional behavior. These are the 5 fundamental principles that each and every chartered accountant should maintain while his professional and business relationship. That is throughout till you die, you have to maintain. These are applicable not only for chartered accountant, but these are applicable for chartered student as well. Right? Clear? Right. One more thing I want to add here, I told you, confidentiality. If you have gathered the information as part of your business relationship, those information cannot be disclosed to a third party, except these 3 circumstances. The Code of Ethics says you cannot. Now let's say I am the auditor of John Keel's Holding. When I carry out the audit, I gather a lot of information. Oh, I'm the CFO of let's say WNS Holdings and WNS Global Service, or a WNS company, let's say. And if I'm the CFO, but while I'm working there, I gather a lot of information. Can I disclose that information to a third party? I cannot do. But the this Code of Ethics tell you the 3 circumstances, right? So this is telling you, right, exceptions, right? In these three circumstances, you can disclose the information, right? The first occasion is right, required by law. Required by law. Now let's say Nuge got a magistrate court giving an order to the audit firm, bring all the information and submit to the court. Can I say that, no, look here, I'm a chartered accountant, I have to maintain the confidentiality, therefore I cannot disclose? Can you tell like that? Right? So if it is required by law, you have to submit those information. It is required by law, no, nothing. So you have to disclose. That is mandatory, right? Required by law mean the regulatory bodies like SLASMB or the CBSL or maybe other SEC or any other regulatory body, if they ask the information, you are compelled to give. There is no option. So you are compelled to give. And number two, the second situation is it is permitted by law and authorized by the client. Now let's say you are auditor of a Coca-Cola company and your informations are requested by a university to research. So it is, let's say in the law, it is permitted, it can be given, but still you cannot give. Why? Those informations are required by, those informations are belongs to whom? Coca-Cola company. So then I should contact the Coca-Cola and say, look here, Coca-Cola, my informations are, your information is with me. These are requested by this party. Can I give? If they say yes, give, then you can give. So another example, now your audit file, when you conduct the audit, your audit files are checked by the regulatory bodies or some other chartered institute, let's say. So if it is permitted by law and authorized by the client, if the client is telling, okay, look, okay, you can give, then we can give any of the information. There is no issue. The third thing is the important thing. It can't, let's say it is not required by the law and also it is not authorized by the client, but still, I told you, you are a chartered accountant, only one profession in Sri Lanka or in the country, being a chartered accountant who has empowered authority to protect the accounting and auditing profession in the country. So therefore, if as a chartered accountant, if you think this is my professional duty or a right, if I think this is my professional duty or a professional right in disclosing this information, I can disclose that information. If you go to your study text, these are given as a 4 item, permitted by law and authorized by the client and required by the law. It may be a normal circumstances or it can be a money laundering situation or a whatever, right? Required by law, permitted by law and authorized by the client. And if I believe that it is my professional duty or the professional right, that I may be disclosing into that, right? So this is the third item which is explained in your study pack. Number one, we discussed now law, ethics and morality, and we discussed the importance of ethical behavior for accountants. Now we discuss the fundamental principles of professional ethics, right? So if you quickly go through the study text, you will understand these 5 principles that I told you and in detail, right? So this understanding is very much important of this, especially this point number 3. So these 5 fundamental principles are important for a chartered accountant, right? So there are so many questions have been tested from these 3 areas. So before moving to the remaining 3 areas, let us quickly look at few questions that has come in the examination. So we will just have a look on that, right? So if you see your mock examination paper, sorry, let's take the pilot paper first. So this is your pilot paper. I hope that you may be having a short copy over there. This is level 2, audit business process and digitalization for the pilot paper. If I go to the question number 19, right? 19. right? What is the golden? What are the two golden rules that I have given you all? Number one, elimination theory. Number two, immediate answer that comes to your mind may not be the correct answer, right? Elimination theory, an immediate answer that comes to your mind may not be the correct answer. And accordingly, let's look at on that, right? Apply the techniques. The required part, if possible, read 3 times. This required part of the question, if possible, read 3 times. Which of the following is the correct definition of integrity in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka? Which of the following is the correct definition of integrity in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka? 3 times. Which of the following is the correct definition of integrity in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka? You understood the problem? Remember why I'm telling for you to read 3 times. Sometime when we read, especially subject like auditing, whenever you press time, you won't pick the point. The second time also you won't pick the 100% point. But whenever you read 3 times, you will definitely pick the point what is required by the examiner. Rather getting pressurized and a hurry to identify the answer, better to read 3 times. Part A. We are talking about the integrity. Now your mind should work. We discussed 5 elements. Out of that, number one is integrity. To not allow bias, conflict of interest to undue influence and others to override professional or business judgment. Not sure, right? Not sure. To maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required to ensure that a client or employer receive the competent professional service. Not sure. To comply with the relevant laws and regulation and avoid any action that discredit the profession. To be straightforward and honest in all business and professional relationship. Right? Elimination theory. What is that? You adopt the elimination theory. Rather identifying the correct answer, you go on the wrong answer identification. Not to allow bias, conflict of interest or undue influence onto others to override professional or business judgment. You know, this is with regard to objectivity. Right? Therefore, this is not the answer. Then, to maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required to ensure that a client or employer receive the competent professional service. This is with regard to the professional competence and due care. No. To comply with the relevant laws and regulation and avoid any action that discredit the profession. This is, you know, professional behavior. So this is also not the answer. Automatical elimination theory answer comes to you. To be straightforward and honest in all business and professional relationship. You see how easy the question. If you have the logic of all 5 principles, any question that comes you can answer. Right? The question number 20. The one is a chartered accountant, is the accountant of Nethu PLC. He has agreed to request made by his chairman to falsify records. His chairman to falsify accounting records to increase the profit of his company, which is the most likely, the important word, most likely fundamental principle Ruan is breaching. How many times you have to read the question? 3 times. Ruan, who is a chartered accountant, is the accountant of Nethu PLC. He has agreed to request made by his chairman to falsify accounting records to increase the profit of his company, which is the most likely fundamental principle Ruan is breaching. Read again. Ruan, who is a chartered accountant, is the accountant of Nethu PLC. He has agreed to request made by his chairman to falsify accounting record, change the accounting records, to increase the profit of his company, which is the most likely. Remember, this sometime being an auditing student, you may miss this type of wording. Most likely word එක දක්වපු ගමන් හිතෙන්න ඕනේ උත්තර එකකට වඩා තියෙනවා මෙතන උත්තර. ඒතර තියෙන උත්තර වලින් හොඳම උත්තරේ තමයි අහන්නේ. Adapt the 2 golden rules. Elimination theory. Professional competence can't be the professional competence. Integrity doubtful. Objectivity doubtful. Confidentiality can't be, because this is not nothing to confidentiality, nothing to competence. Competence means not that your knowledge. And your best answer is integrity or objectivity. What is integrity? So integrity means you have to be honest and straightforward, and objectivity, you have to be free from bias and the conflict of interest. You have to work toward to your objectivity. So what the best appropriate here? Now for me, somebody will say objectivity, somebody will say integrity. But if you really look at here, so you have been requested by the chairman to falsify the records mean to increase the profit of the company. He has agreed to request made by his chairman. So Ruan has agreed to the request made by chairman. He has agreed. What is that? It is objectivity. Yes, objectivity also a concern. But more than that, integrity is a questionable. Integrity is questionable. So therefore, the best appropriate answer is integrity. Answer B. Right. So if I take another 2 questions from the mock examination paper, this is your mock examination paper. So if you go to the question number 6, this is your mock examination paper. You can download from the LMSC Sri Lanka. Question number 6. The very first point that we learn under the first learning outcome. The morality and ethics are important for an individual. Which of these following statements correctly explain the connection between the moral and ethics? Morality and ethics are important for an individual. Which of the following statements correctly explain the connection between the moral and ethics? How many times we read now? 2. One more. Morality and ethics are important for an individual. Which of the following statement correctly explain the connection between the moral and ethics? Right. Read now. Connection between the moral and ethics. Individuals may have their personal ethics standard of behavior based on their personal morality. Moral sets a minimum standard of ethical behavior. Moral sets a minimum standard of ethical behavior. No. Why? Can you remember? Law only sets a minimum standard. Then ethics and morality require compliance with government rules and regulation. Ethics, yes, ethics required to comply with the government laws and regulation. But morality is not required the compliance with the law. That is the personal belief on what is correct and what is wrong. Even the law, I may have a dimension, that direction that I may not agree with that, correct or wrong. So therefore, this is also not the correct answer. Both morals and ethics are always based on laws. No. Law is only, can you remember? Law is a small one, and morality and ethics are a bigger picture. So therefore, this is also wrong. So they are obviously elimination theory. Select the answer A. Individuals may have a personal ethical standard of behavior based on their personal morality. Correct? No. The ethics comes in based on the moral practices and the laws. So therefore, individuals may have a personal ethical standard of behavior based on their personal morality. Is the answer. Number 6, part A. Right. So then let's go to the next question. Question number 8. That we have not yet discussed, so we can discuss in the next video. Right, read this, right? Read this, question number 9. Bit difficult question, but we will discuss this. During the course of the audit of ABC PLC, a suspicious transaction has been discovered. The audit team has reported this to the money laundering reporting officer of the firm as a potential money laundering transaction. MLRO has decided to report this to relevant authorities, right? Which of the following statement is true regarding the confidentiality of the above information? How many times you have to read? 3 times. During the course of the audit of ABC PLC, a suspicious transaction has been discovered. The audit team has reported this to the money laundering reporting officer of the firm as a potential money laundering transaction. MLRO has decided to report this to the relevant authorities. Which of the following statement is true regarding the confidentiality of the above information? Now reading carefully. During the course of the audit of ABC PLC, a suspicious transaction has been discovered. The audit team has reported this to the money laundering reporting officer of the firm as a potential money laundering transaction. So in every firm, there's a separate officer called money laundering officer. So he's the in charge, and everyone will report all suspicious transactions to him, that he will decide whether it has to be communicated to the relevant regulatory body or not. So MLRO has decided to report this to the relevant authorities, right? So this is a combination of the ethics, right, as well as the non-compliance with the laws and regulation SLA US 250. This is not only ethics question, both. Which of the following statement is true regarding the confidentiality of the above information? Which of the following statement is true regarding the confidentiality of the above information? Details of this transaction can only be disclosed to a third party with the permission of ABC PLC. Whether if there is a money laundering transaction, money laundering activity, whether are you required to take the client authority to disclose that information? No. Why? Money laundering requirement is a statutory requirement, legal requirement. When there is a legal requirement, it is not required to get the authority of the client. So therefore, this is not applicable. Audit firm is not permitted to disclose details of this transaction to anyone outside the firm as the information has been obtained during the course of the audit. Yes, you cannot disclose, but exceptions are there. So therefore, this is also not a correct answer. Disclosure of this transaction is required by law. Doubtful. Audit firm should report this transaction to authorities anonymously. Right? C. The correct explanation here also doubtful for you, but the correct explanation comes to you what? This disclosure of this transaction is required by law, right? This is required by law. So therefore, so you may have to disclose this to the relevant regulatory body, maybe Central Bank of Sri Lanka, maybe Criminal Investigation Department, CID, or whatever, the police or whatever, the department, the regulatory authority must be reported, because this is required by the law. I told you in my short note specifically here, confidentiality required by law. It may be a normal circumstance, so it is coming under the money laundering requirement. So that is a mandatory obligation, that the mandatory obligation imposed by the regulation for you to disclose such information to the relevant regulatory body. So with that, we have discussed the, in our study text, we have discussed the main three areas and we discussed few questions. Now let us move to the next three areas with the next video.